Well, back at it again. So I got my rails finally mounted on here. I did trim them down, put a little bit more of an angle on here before they were curved. I think the angle looks a little bit more sporty. So anyway, those are on there, and I got my gearbox on here. I got a couple screws in it holding it in place. I got my servo mounted in there in the servo saver. I did that because what I want to do is I want to make a couple brackets for this battery, because the battery's in there, but it can still go back and forth. So I need to make a couple brackets to retain that battery in there. Now the front one, I'm just gonna make a short little L bracket like that, cut it off flush with the top of the battery basically, and sticky tape that down. I was gonna do the same thing for the back. If I do that, the only problem is my receiver and my ESC. I think my receiver will be fine, but this ESC is gonna hit that bracket. It's gonna want to sit up on top of it. I don't really want to make a top plate for this car. I just kind of want to leave it like it is. And I could always put a top plate on there and mount this up here, because that's the way it is in my Ultima, my Turbo Ultima. I've got a little bracket, a little top plate on that, sort of like that. But I've got that mounted on there. But I really don't want to do that. I want to mount everything down as low as I can get it. And so if I put that bracket in there like that, it's going to be in the way of me taping this down. So what I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and use these brackets like this on either side, and just use some sticky tape to tape them to the rails here. And then that will free up this whole area so I can put my ESC and my transmitter wherever I want them. So that's what I'm going to do. I do have to mount the antenna in here too. Got to mount the antenna tube on there. So it's going to go somewhere like that in there. So that gives me a little bit more room there too, to slide my receiver over there, just to make enough room for that. So that's where I'm going next with this project here. That shouldn't be a big deal. Just cutting these down, and I do have to bend one more piece for the front here and cut these down a little bit. But that's where I'm at now. Shouldn't be a real long, complicated step, but I need to get that done before I can start getting everything else in there. So I got my pieces cut, and this is what it's going to basically look like. I'm going to put a bracket right there, put one on the side right there, and then right there. Should be a pretty clean look. Give me plenty of space in there for my ESC and my transmitter. So next step is to get everything lined up and to go ahead and stick these down with some sticky tape. The good thing about it is if I screw it up, it's just tape. I can take it off and redo it again. So with the battery removed, you can kind of get an idea of what I'm going for here. Basically just pop the battery down there, put the strap that's in there, and it'll be retained by these brackets. All right, I got my double-sided sticky tape applied. Just going to try to line it up there the best I can. I'm thinking it doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of line that up with the servo. I got my lines inside there where I want it. Looks pretty good to me. This will take an hour getting this off. Hey, not bad. All right. Get that lined up about where I want it, and I'm just going to drop it in place. All right, that's down. That should, it's not screwed down or nothing, but that's on there pretty good. That's not going to go anywhere. And the good thing about this is, don't have to measure. Just going to push that up there. Ooh, wrong way. Almost screwed that up. That battery fits in there really nice. Perfect. I like it. All right, that's going to finish up the battery portion of the chassis. The only thing I have to do is build the front top plate, if you want to call it that goes from the front bulkhead to the servo saver. Basically, kind of like I've got on this car here. I've got to build one of those for that. That's really not a big deal. Just a square with a hole in the center of it. So I do have to do that sometime. I'm not going to do that today. But anyway, this is pretty much finished up. So I do need to order some parts. I got to get a servo ordered, and I've got to get probably a motor ordered, and then I got to find shocks. That's going to be probably the hardest thing to do, is find some shocks. So anyway, I should have done this last night. I was just tired of working on the chassis here. I wanted to take a break from it. So anyway, guys, appreciate you guys tuning in. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And please hit the like button. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So as I was making this, I was curious, how much heavier is this than the original chassis setup? So I got my scale out here, and I'm going to go ahead and see. So this weighs 6.45 ounces. And this weighs 5.5 ounces. So about an ounce between the two. So that's not too concerning. So, you know, this, I don't have the top plate on this one yet, so that's going to add a little bit of weight to it, but nothing to really be too concerned about. You know, I'm sure that the JJ chassis, which is a lot thicker than either one of these, is quite a bit heavier than this itself. So anyway, I was just curious how much they weighed, so now we know.